You don't belong here. This isn't some charity shelter. The blonde concierge's voice cut through the marble lobby like a blade, her manicured finger pointing at the black woman's worn sneakers. The Grandview Resort and Spa in Newport Beach charges $800 a night. Crystal chandeliers cast shadows across Italian marble floors. Dr. Maya Chen Williams, 42, stood calmly at the reception desk after her red-eye flight from Chicago. "Ma'am, our day-use spa packages start at $300, Jessica Morrison announced loudly. "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the Motel 6 down the street?" A security guard approached. "Is there a problem here? Should I call someone to escort her out?" Maya's voice remained steady. "I'm just checking into my room." "Your room?" Jessica's laugh echoed through the lobby. "I don't think so." Have you ever been judged so harshly that strangers assumed you didn't belong in your own space? This is one of those real-life stories that reminds us why Black stories matter. These touching stories reveal how quickly assumptions destroy lives. What Maya did next changed everything. Jessica Morrison stepped back visibly when Maya approached the marble reception counter. The 6-year veteran concierge whispered urgently to her colleague behind the desk. "Security risk," she mouthed, gesturing toward Maya's casual travel clothes. Maya wore comfortable jeans and a simple black sweater. Her Nike sneakers showed signs of airport rushing. After 14 hours of meetings in Chicago, she looked exactly like any exhausted business traveler seeking rest. "Look, I don't know what game you're playing," Jessica's voice carried across the lobby, "but this isn't that kind of establishment." 3 feet away, Travel with Tiffany adjusted her phone camera. The lifestyle blogger had 247,000 followers watching her live stream hotel review. Her screen showed 847 viewers when Jessica's comment echoed through the audio. Maya checked her phone. 2:50 p.m. 10 minutes until my 3 o'clock board call, she murmured. Comments flooded Travel with Tiffany's stream. "OMG, is this happening? Someone record this. This is so wrong," mixed with others. "Hotels have standards. She should show ID first." Jessica's discrimination wasn't subtle. Her body language screamed discomfort. She maintained 3 feet of distance, avoided eye contact, and spoke loudly enough for other guests to hear. Every gesture communicated one message. "You don't belong here." Maya's worn Louis Vuitton bag sat unnoticed on the counter. Her Platinum American Express card remained in her wallet. Multiple calls buzzed on her phone screen. Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan Chase. Board members wondering about her location. She declined each call without explanation. "I need to check into room 2847, Maya said calmly. Jessica's eyes narrowed. "Room 2847? The presidential suite?" She turned to her colleague. "This is getting ridiculous." Maya knew the exact room number without checking any reservation. She understood the hotel's layout, the staff schedules, the operational procedures, details that would matter later. Assistant manager Brad Collins approached the desk. At 34, he'd worked at Grandview for 8 years. His assumption aligned perfectly with Jessica's. Problems came from difficult guests, not staff prejudice. "What seems to be the issue?" Brad asked, looking directly at Jessica instead of Maya. "She claims to have the presidential suite reserved," Jessica explained, "but she won't show proper identification." Maya's phone buzzed again. Board meeting prep in 7 minutes. She'd been trying to check in for 15 minutes already. "I've provided everything required," Maya said quietly. Travel with Tiffany's live stream hit 1,200 viewers. The hashtag Grandview Drama started trending locally. Comments split between outrage and support, creating digital chaos in real time. Brad assumed Maya was causing trouble. He didn't ask for her identification. He didn't check the reservation system. He simply reinforced Jessica's position through body language and tone. "Ma'am, you understand we need to verify all guests," he said, moving closer to Jessica's side of the counter. Maya remained calm. "I understand completely." A wealthy white couple at the adjacent concierge desk commented loudly about declining standards. "This used to be such a respectable place," the woman said. "Now anyone thinks they can just walk in." 3 additional staff members gathered around the situation. Housekeeping supervisor, bell captain, front desk clerk, all assumed Maya was problematic without hearing her side. Maya's phone showed 5 minutes until her board call. She'd been invited to discuss the quarterly earnings report. Missing it meant disappointing 12 executives across 4 time zones. "Either show proper identification and a valid credit card or we're calling police," Jessica announced. The head of security received his call. Marcus Thompson, ironically also black, walked reluctantly toward the reception area. His discomfort was visible. He understood the optics but trusted his colleague's judgment. Maya's phone displayed the caller ID. "Chairman Morrison." She declined the call from Morrison Hotel's CEO. The man who'd built the company from 3 properties to 89 locations worldwide. Travel with Tiffany's stream reached 2,100 viewers. Comments exploded with mixed reactions. Some viewers demanded justice. Others questioned Maya's behavior. The digital divide reflected society's broader tensions. "According to California hospitality law," Maya said quietly, "establishments must treat all guests with equal dignity." Jessica's face flushed. "Don't lecture me about law. I know hotel policy." Maya's knowledge seemed unusual for a typical guest. She understood legal frameworks, operational procedures, and industry standards, details that hinted at deeper expertise. Brad stepped closer. "Ma'am, you need to understand this is a private establishment. We have the right to refuse service." "Based on what criteria?" Maya asked. The question hung in the air. Neither Jessica nor Brad could articulate their objections without revealing their bias. Maya's appearance, her casual clothes, the assumptions they'd made within seconds of seeing her? Maya's phone buzzed. 3 minutes until board call. She'd traveled from Chicago specifically for this meeting. Her presence at Grandview wasn't coincidental. "I'm calling Newport Beach Police Department if you don't leave voluntarily," Jessica threatened. Maya nodded calmly. "That's your choice." Her acceptance confused everyone. Most people would argue, escalate, or leave. Maya simply waited, checking her phone with the patience of someone who understood exactly what would happen next. The lobby filled with witnesses. 12 guests watched from various locations. 5 staff members formed a semicircle around Maya. Travel with Tiffany's live stream captured every moment for 3,400 viewers. The setup was complete. Assumptions made. Positions taken. Digital evidence recording. Legal violations documented. Maya stood at the center of it all, calm and prepared for what came next. Marcus Thompson approached the reception desk with visible reluctance. 23 years in hotel security taught him to read situations quickly. Something felt wrong about this confrontation, but he trusted his colleague's judgment. "Marcus, this woman is refusing to leave after being told she doesn't have a reservation," Jessica explained, her voice carrying across the marble lobby. Maya stood surrounded by 8 staff members. 12 hotel guests watched from nearby seating areas, their phones recording the unfolding drama. The semicircle of employees created a visual barrier between Maya and the rest of the lobby. Travel with Tiffany's live stream exploded to 3,400 viewers. Comments flooded her screen faster than she could read them. Grandview discrimination started trending beyond Newport Beach, reaching Los Angeles and San Francisco social media feeds. "She's been aggressive and threatening since arrival," Brad added, his voice loud enough for nearby guests to hear. Maya's phone showed 2 minutes until her board call. She'd never raised her voice, never made threatening gestures, never displayed anything resembling aggression. But the narrative was solidifying around her. "This is exactly why we need better security screening," Jessica continued, her confidence growing with each supportive nod from colleagues. A well-dressed elderly woman at the concierge desk turned to her husband. "In my day, people knew their place. This is what happens when standards slip." Maya declined another call. The caller ID showed Board Secretary, urgent. Her absence from the 3 o'clock meeting would require explanation to executives who valued punctuality above nearly everything else. According to California Civil Code Section 51.5, Maya said quietly, public accommodations cannot discriminate based on race, color, or perceived economic status. Jessica's face hardened. Don't quote law to me, I know hotel regulations. But Maya's specific knowledge of legal codes suggested more than casual awareness. She cited exact statute numbers, understood discrimination frameworks, and spoke with the precision of someone familiar with legal compliance. Marcus positioned himself carefully. His experience told him to de-escalate, but his colleagues expected support. The internal conflict played across his face as Travel with Tiffany's camera captured his hesitation. "Ma'am, I need to ask you to cooperate with our staff," Marcus said, his tone more professional than aggressive. Maya nodded. "I'm cooperating completely." Her response frustrated everyone. They wanted resistance, argument, or drama. Maya's calm acceptance made them look increasingly unreasonable to the growing digital audience. A young couple near the elevator began live streaming their own video. "This is insane," the woman whispered to her phone. "They're literally surrounding this woman for trying to check in." Brad moved closer to Maya. "You've been here for 20 minutes causing disruption. Other guests are complaining." Maya's phone showed 1 minute until her board call. She'd built a reputation for reliability across 15 years in corporate leadership. Missing meetings wasn't her style. "I've been trying to check in for 20 minutes, she corrected gently. Jessica's voice grew sharper. "That's not what happened. You came in here acting entitled, demanding special treatment." The false narrative spread among staff members, each retelling added embellishments. Maya became more aggressive, more demanding, more threatening in their collective memory. Travel with Tiffany's stream reached 4,800 viewers. Her comments section exploded with reactions from across California. Hashtag Grandview Drama competed with hashtag Hotel Discrimination for trending status. "I'm calling Newport Beach Police Department," Jessica announced, reaching for the phone. Maya's response surprised everyone. "That's your choice." She didn't argue, plead, or threaten. Her acceptance suggested someone familiar with legal processes, someone who understood documentation and evidence collection. Another hotel guest, a young black woman, began recording from across the lobby. Her video would later be shared 18,000 times across social media platforms. "This is a private establishment," Brad repeated, his voice rising. "We have the right to refuse service to anyone." "Based on what specific policy violation?" Maya asked. The question exposed their problem. They couldn't articulate legitimate reasons without revealing discriminatory thinking. Maya's appearance? Her casual clothes? The assumptions they had made about her economic status? Maya's phone buzzed with the board call. She declined it, sending a quick text. "Handling urgent situation. We'll call back." The message went to Morrison Hotel's CEO, her former father-in-law, who'd built the company from 3 properties to 89 locations worldwide. He'd be concerned about her absence from such an important meeting. A businessman at the bar turned to his colleague. "I don't understand what's happening. She seems perfectly reasonable." His comment carried across the lobby, adding to the staff's growing discomfort. Public opinion was shifting, but they'd committed to their position. Jessica's desperation grew. "Look at her clothes. Look at her attitude. This isn't the kind of guest we serve." Maya's worn jeans and comfortable sweater became evidence of unworthiness. Her calm demeanor became attitude. Her presence became a problem requiring security intervention. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "Ma'am, perhaps we can resolve this quietly." His suggestion acknowledged the situation's problematic nature. A security professional with 2 decades of experience recognized discrimination when he saw it. "She needs to leave," Jessica insisted. "Now." Maya checked her phone. The board call had started without her. 12 executives across 4 time zones were discussing quarterly earnings while she stood in her own hotel lobby being treated like a criminal. Travel with Tiffany's live stream hit 6,200 viewers. Her followers were sharing the video across platforms, creating a digital firestorm that would soon reach mainstream media attention. "I'm not leaving," Maya said quietly. "I have a reservation." Her first hint of firmness sent Jessica into panic mode. "See? She's becoming aggressive. This is exactly what I warned about." The crowd of staff members tightened around Maya. 8 employees, 12 guests, multiple phones recording. The situation had escalated beyond anyone's control. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from the board secretary. "CEO asking about your location. Should I reschedule?" She typed back, "Give me 10 minutes." The reply went to Morrison Hotel's corporate headquarters in Beverly Hills. Within minutes, calls would be made. Questions would be asked. The Grandview Resort and Spa would receive unprecedented attention from the highest levels of corporate leadership. Brad made his final ultimatum. "Ma'am, you have 30 seconds to leave voluntarily or we're calling police." Maya pulled out her iPad with deliberate calm. The tablet's screen caught light from the crystal chandeliers as she opened a specific application. Her fingers moved across the display with practiced precision. "What is she doing?" Jessica whispered. The iPad displayed information that made no sense to anyone watching. Graphs, numbers, real-time data flowing across the screen. Something familiar yet impossible. Maya's calm had never wavered. Through 25 minutes of discrimination, false accusations, and public humiliation, she'd maintained perfect composure. Someone with that kind of control under pressure had experience with difficult situations. The iPad's display caught Travel with Tiffany's camera. 6,800 viewers could see numbers, charts, and data that looked suspiciously like internal business metrics. "How does she have access to—" Jessica's voice trailed off. Maya looked up from the screen. "The same way I've had access for the past 3 years." The lobby fell silent. 8 staff members, 12 guests, and nearly 7,000 live-stream viewers waited for an explanation that would change everything. Maya's iPad screen displayed the Grandview Resort and Spa's real-time financial dashboard. Live revenue streams, current occupancy rates, staff performance metrics, and guest satisfaction scores updated every 30 seconds. The proprietary system was accessible only to senior management and ownership. Jessica's face drained of color. She recognized the Morrison Hotel's executive dashboard from training sessions and management meetings. Only 5 people at Grandview had access to this system. "Wait," Jessica whispered. "How do you have access to—" Maya's voice remained steady. "The same way I've had access for the past 3 years." Travel with Tiffany's live stream captured the iPad screen perfectly. 4,800 viewers could see detailed financial data, employee schedules, and operational metrics that no ordinary guest should possess. Brad stepped closer, squinting at the display. "I don't understand what's happening." Maya swiped to another screen. The hotel's organizational chart appeared, showing the complete management hierarchy. At the top sat Chairman Morrison. Below him, Chief Executive Officer. Third position down, Chief Operating Officer, Dr. Maya Chen Williams. The photograph matched the woman standing in the lobby. Marcus Thompson recognized the system immediately. His security clearance included limited access to staff directories and emergency protocols. He'd seen Maya's photo in company communications, but never connected it to the woman he'd been asked to remove. "Dr. Williams," he said quietly, "I sincerely apologize." Maya opened her staff identification badge on the iPad. The digital credential showed her employee number, authorization levels, and access permissions. Chief Operating Officer, Morrison Hotels. Security clearance, Level 9. Property access, all locations. Jessica's hands shook as she stared at the screen. I didn't... Your clothes? I mean... My clothes what? Maya asked calmly. The question hung in the air. Jessica couldn't articulate her assumptions without revealing discriminatory thinking. Maya's jeans and sweater became evidence of her own prejudice, not Maya's unworthiness. Travel with Tiffany's stream exploded to 7,100 viewers. Comments flooded faster than her phone could display them. "Oh my God, she works there! Plot twist! This is insane!" Brad's career flashed before his eyes. 8 years at Grandview, steady promotions, positive performance reviews, all potentially destroyed by 20 minutes of poor judgment. "Dr. Williams, I sincerely apologize for this misunderstanding," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Maya swiped to the employee directory. Her profile showed 3 years of service, multiple commendations, and recognition for operational excellence. The system displayed her direct reports, 47 managers across the Morrison Hotels chain. "Jessica, Brad, my office. Now," Maya said. The authority in her voice was unmistakable. This wasn't a request from an angry guest. This was a directive from senior management to subordinate employees who'd just committed career-ending mistakes. Other staff members began quietly dispersing. The housekeeping supervisor, bell captain, and front desk clerk suddenly found urgent tasks elsewhere. Nobody wanted to be associated with the discrimination they'd just witnessed. Maya's phone buzzed with a text message. "Board call postponed. CEO wants to discuss urgent internal matter." She typed back, "Handling personnel issue. We'll call in 30 minutes." The message went directly to Morrison Hotel's CEO, her former father-in-law. Their relationship remained cordial despite her divorce from his son. He'd personally recruited her from Marriott International based on her reputation for operational excellence. Jessica's desperation grew. "Please, I have student loans. My apartment rent is due." "We'll discuss this privately," Maya replied. Her measured response avoided public humiliation while maintaining professional authority. Maya understood the difference between justice and revenge. Public destruction wasn't her goal. Marcus approached carefully. "Dr. Williams, I want to apologize for my role in this situation. I should have recognized you immediately." Maya nodded. "We'll discuss proper protocols later, Marcus." His relief was visible. Professional security personnel who followed orders weren't the primary target of her attention. Management failures and discriminatory behavior were. Travel with Tiffany's stream reached 8,200 viewers. Her followers were sharing the video across platforms, creating a digital firestorm that would soon reach mainstream media attention. "Holy shit," Tiffany whispered to her phone. "She's the COO, the Chief Operating Officer. She literally runs this place." Maya opened another application on her iPad. Legal documentation system. Every incident was being recorded automatically, creating permanent records for human resources and legal compliance. "This conversation is being documented for policy review," Maya said calmly. Brad's face went pale. Legal documentation meant investigations, reviews, and potential termination. His discrimination against the chief operating officer was now permanently recorded in corporate systems. Jessica began crying. "I didn't know. I've never seen you before. You don't usually dress." "I don't usually dress how?" Maya asked. Another question that exposed discriminatory thinking. Jessica couldn't explain her assumptions without revealing racial and economic prejudice. Maya's casual clothes had triggered immediate negative judgments. The lobby crowd began dispersing. Hotel guests who'd been recording suddenly became uncomfortable with their own behavior. They'd witnessed discrimination and done nothing to stop it. Maya's phone rang. The caller ID showed Chairman Morrison, urgent. She answered immediately. "Hello, grandfather," she said, using the family term from her marriage. His voice was concerned. "Maya, I just received calls from 3 board members. They're saying something happened at Grandview?" "I'm handling an internal personnel matter," she replied. "We'll discuss it during our regular call tomorrow." "Are you all right?" "I'm fine. Professional situation that requires immediate attention." "Should I send legal support?" "Not necessary. Everything is being documented properly." She ended the call and looked at Jessica and Brad. "My office. 5 minutes." Maya's authority was absolute. She wasn't asking permission or making requests. This was senior management addressing subordinates who'd violated company policy, legal standards, and basic human decency. Travel with Tiffany's stream hit 9,300 viewers. Comments came too fast to read. Karma! She owns the place! Fired, fired, fired! Maya walked toward the executive elevator without looking back. Her staff ID badge provided access to the 47th floor executive offices. The elevator doors closed on a lobby full of shocked employees and embarrassed guests. Jessica and Brad followed reluctantly. They understood their careers were over, but the extent of consequences remained unclear. Termination was certain. Legal liability was possible. Public humiliation was already happening. Marcus remained in the lobby, watching Travel with Tiffany's stream wind down. 9,600 viewers had witnessed discrimination at its worst. The video would be shared millions of times across social media platforms. Maya's true identity changed everything. She wasn't just another guest facing discrimination. She was the second highest executive at Morrison Hotels, responsible for operations across 89 properties worldwide. The power dynamic had shifted completely. Jessica and Brad's assumptions about Maya's worthiness based on her appearance and race had destroyed their careers. Their prejudice had been exposed to thousands of viewers and documented in corporate systems. But Maya's response revealed something deeper. She could have identified herself immediately, ended the discrimination within seconds, and avoided public humiliation. Instead, she'd allowed the situation to develop, documented every violation, and created a perfect case study for systemic change. The elevator reached the executive floor. Maya's corner office overlooked the Pacific Ocean through floor-to-ceiling windows. Her MBA from Wharton hung next to recognition awards from the American Hotel Association. She sat behind her desk and waited. In 5 minutes, Jessica and Brad would face consequences for their discrimination. But Maya's real target wasn't individual punishment. It was systemic change across the entire Morrison Hotels chain. The live stream had ended, but the video would live forever. Millions of people would see what happened when assumptions met reality. Maya's calm response under pressure had created a teaching moment that would influence hospitality industry practices for years to come. Her phone buzzed with notifications, text messages from board members, news outlets requesting interviews, and social media alerts about the viral video. The story was spreading beyond Newport Beach, reaching national attention. Maya opened her laptop and began typing. Incident report, policy review recommendations, system-wide training requirements. Her discrimination had become an opportunity for comprehensive reform across 89 properties. The real work was just beginning. The executive conference room on the 47th floor commanded a panoramic view of Newport Beach's coastline. Maya sat at the head of the mahogany table, her posture professional and composed. She'd changed into a Navy business suit that communicated authority without ostentation. Jessica Morrison sat across from her, hands trembling slightly as she faced the woman she'd humiliated 30 minutes earlier. Brad Collins occupied the adjacent chair, his 8-year career at Grandview hanging by a thread. HR Director Sarah Kim opened her laptop and began recording. This meeting is being documented for legal and policy compliance purposes. Today's date is March 15th, 2024. Time is 4:17 p.m. Legal counsel Mike Torres spread documents across the table. We're here to address serious violations of company policy, California Civil Rights Act, and federal discrimination laws. Maya remained silent, allowing the legal framework to establish itself. Her experience with corporate investigations taught her to let evidence speak before personalities intervened. The wall display showed Grandview's financial performance, $89 million in annual revenue, 1,200 employees across the Morrison Hotels chain, average guest satisfaction rating of 4.7 out of 5 stars. Let's review what happened, Sarah said, opening the incident file. At approximately 2:45 p.m., Dr. Maya Chen Williams, Chief Operating Officer of Morrison Hotels, attempted to check into the presidential suite at Grandview Resort and Spa. Jessica's face crumpled. Hearing Maya's title spoken aloud made her discrimination seem even more egregious. Instead of normal check-in procedures, Sarah continued, staff members Jessica Morrison and Brad Collins assumed Dr. Williams was inappropriate for the property based on her appearance. Torres opened his legal pad. We've documented 6 specific violations of California Civil Code Section 51.5, which prohibits discrimination in public accommodations based on race, color, or perceived economic status. Maya's iPad showed the live stream footage. Travel with Tiffany's video had been watched 1.2 million times in 4 hours. The comment section contained 47,000 responses, most condemning the discrimination. The financial exposure is significant, Torres explained. California allows damages up to $4,000 per violation, plus attorney fees and punitive damages. We're looking at potential liability exceeding $50,000 just for the legal violations. Brad's career calculations were simple. His actions had created legal liability, public relations disaster, and corporate embarrassment. Termination was inevitable. But legal compliance isn't our primary concern, Maya said, speaking for the first time. This is about systemic failure in our training, hiring, and operational procedures. Sarah pulled up Jessica's employment record. 18 months of service, 3 previous complaints about discriminatory behavior toward guests, 2 missed mandatory diversity training sessions. I didn't miss them, Jessica protested. I was scheduled during busy periods. You were scheduled during normal business hours, Sarah corrected. Attendance was mandatory, not optional. Maya's calm demeanor contrasted sharply with Jessica's desperation. Tell me about your training on unconscious bias. We had an online module, Jessica stammered. Which you didn't complete, Sarah noted. System records show you logged in but never finished the assessment. Torres reviewed Brad's file. 8 years of service, multiple promotions, generally positive performance reviews. But today's incident reveals serious judgment failures. Maya leaned forward slightly. Brad, when you saw me at the reception desk, what was your first thought? Brad's honesty surprised everyone. I thought Jessica was dealing with a difficult guest. I assumed you were causing problems. Based on what evidence? Jessica told me you were being unreasonable. Did you ask for my side of the story? No. Did you check the reservation system? No. Did you request identification? No. Maya's questions exposed the complete failure of management protocol. Brad had made assumptions, reinforced discrimination, and escalated conflict without gathering basic information. The wall display showed comparative data. Morrison Hotel's diversity metrics lagged behind industry standards. Staff training completion rates were 67%, well below the 95% corporate requirement. This isn't just about 2 employees, Maya said. This is about systemic failure across our entire organization. Sarah pulled up guest satisfaction surveys. We've received 127 complaints about discriminatory treatment in the past year. Most were dismissed as isolated incidents. They weren't isolated, Maya said quietly. They were patterns we chose not to recognize. Torres opened his legal brief. Morrison Hotels could face class action liability if this pattern continues. Today's incident was live-streamed to thousands of viewers, creating unprecedented documentation of discriminatory practices. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Chairman Morrison. Board meeting scheduled for tomorrow. National media requesting statements. She responded, preparing comprehensive response. We'll have recommendations ready. Jessica's desperation grew. Dr. Williams, I know I made a mistake. I have student loans, rent payments. I can't afford to lose this job. Maya's response was measured. Your financial situation doesn't justify discriminatory behavior toward guests. But I didn't know you didn't know I was what? Maya asked. The question exposed Jessica's thinking. She hadn't known Maya was powerful, wealthy, or connected. Her discrimination was based on appearance, race, and assumed economic status. "I didn't know you were management," Jessica finished weakly. "Would that have changed your behavior?" "Yes." "So you treat guests differently based on their perceived status?" Jessica's silence confirmed Maya's point. Her discrimination wasn't accidental or isolated. It was systematic prejudice based on racial and economic assumptions. Maya opened her laptop. "Here's what's going to happen. Jessica, your employment is terminated immediately. No severance, no recommendation letters, no rehire eligibility across the Morrison Hotels chain." Jessica began crying. "Please, I need this job. I'll do anything." "You'll do nothing," Maya said firmly. "Your discrimination created legal liability, public relations disaster, and profound embarrassment for our organization." Brad's fate was less certain. "Your situation is different. You made poor judgments but didn't initiate discriminatory behavior. You're demoted to front desk associate with 6 months probation." Relief flooded Brad's face. "Thank you, Dr. Williams. I promise this won't happen again." "It won't happen again because we're implementing comprehensive system changes," Maya replied. Torres outlined the legal framework. "New policies will require documentation of all guest interactions, mandatory bias training, and regular audit procedures." Sarah displayed the implementation timeline. "All Fund 200 Morrison Hotels employees will complete 40-hour diversity training within 90 days. Compliance monitoring will be ongoing." Maya's phone rang. Chairman Morrison's caller ID appeared on the screen. She answered on speaker. "Maya, I've been following the situation through news reports. How serious is this?" "Very serious, grandfather. We're implementing immediate changes across all properties." "What do you need?" "Full board support for comprehensive reform. This goes beyond individual discipline to systemic change." "You have it. Whatever resources you need." "Thank you. I'll have recommendations ready for tomorrow's meeting." She ended the call and faced Jessica and Brad. "Your actions today created an opportunity for positive change. We're going to ensure this never happens again to anyone." Maya's final revelation came quietly. "I should mention that I own 31% of Morrison Hotels stock. This discrimination happened in a company I partially own, in a hotel I help operate, by employees I help supervise." The ownership disclosure added another layer to the story. Jessica and Brad hadn't just discriminated against a guest or even a manager. They'd discriminated against an owner of the company that employed them. "Security will escort you out, Jessica," Maya said. "Your access badges are deactivated. Personal belongings will be shipped to your home address." Jessica stood slowly, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry." "I believe you are," Maya replied. "But sorry doesn't undo discrimination or repair the harm you've caused." As Jessica left, Maya turned to Brad. "Report to HR tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Your retraining begins immediately." Brad nodded gratefully. "Thank you for the second chance." "Don't thank me yet. Prove you deserve it." Maya's phone showed 17 missed calls from news outlets, board members, and industry colleagues. The story was spreading rapidly across social media and traditional media platforms. But her focus remained on systemic change. Individual consequences were necessary but insufficient. Real progress required comprehensive reform across the entire Morrison Hotels organization. The meeting ended with clear accountability. Jessica was gone. Brad was demoted. Legal documentation was complete. And Maya had the authority to implement changes that would prevent future discrimination. The real work was just beginning. 2 weeks after the incident, Maya stood in the same marble lobby where she'd been humiliated. The morning sun streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating subtle but significant changes throughout the Grandview Resort and Spa. At the reception desk, a young Latina woman checked in a middle-aged black businessman. The interaction was professional, courteous, and completely unremarkable. No assumptions about worthiness, no questions about belonging, simply excellent service provided to a valued guest. "Welcome to Grandview, Mr. Johnson," the desk clerk said with genuine warmth. "We're honored to have you stay with us." The guest dignity protocol had been implemented across all 89 Morrison Hotels properties. Every guest interaction followed the same principle: assume positive intent, provide exceptional service, and treat everyone with equal respect. Maya's phone buzzed with the daily operations report. Guest satisfaction scores had increased 23% since the new policies took effect. Staff confidence was higher. Discrimination complaints had dropped to 0 across the entire chain. Travel with Tiffany's follow-up video had been viewed 3.2 million times. Her positive coverage of the hotel's transformation provided powerful testimony to the effectiveness of systemic change. "This is how you respond to discrimination," Tiffany told her followers. "Not with revenge, but with real reform that protects everyone." The American Hotel Association had recognized Morrison Hotels' new policies as industry-leading. 12 competitor chains had adopted similar protocols, creating ripple effects across the hospitality industry. Maya's assistant approached with the latest media requests. 68 interview requests this week. Forbes wants to feature you on their cover story about transformational leadership. "Schedule the important ones," Maya replied. "But remember, this isn't about personal recognition. It's about systemic change." The transformation extended beyond policies to technology. Bias detection software analyzed guest interactions for discriminatory patterns. Real-time monitoring systems flagged problematic behaviors before they escalated. Staff performance reviews included unconscious bias assessments. Marcus Thompson had been promoted to Director of Inclusive Operations. His new role involved training security personnel across all properties, developing de-escalation protocols, and ensuring professional guest interactions. "Dr. Williams, the quarterly bias audit results are ready," he reported. "We've had 0 discrimination incidents across all properties for 6 consecutive weeks." Maya nodded approvingly. "Good, but we can't become complacent. Bias is unconscious. It requires constant attention and correction." Brad Collins had completed his retraining program with distinction. His demotion to front desk associate provided valuable perspective on guest interactions. He'd personally handled 847 check-ins without a single complaint. "I never realized how my assumptions affected guests," he admitted during his progress review. "The training opened my eyes to unconscious bias I didn't know I had." His rehabilitation demonstrated the power of education over punishment. Brad's second chance had created a valuable advocate for inclusive hospitality practices. The financial impact was overwhelmingly positive. Morrison Hotels' revenue had increased 12% in 6 months, largely attributed to improved guest satisfaction and positive media coverage. The company's stock price had risen 8% since the incident. Maya's phone rang with a call from Chairman Morrison. "Maya, the board is unanimously impressed with your leadership through this crisis. You've turned a potential disaster into a competitive advantage." "Thank you, grandfather. But this is just the beginning. Real change takes years to fully implement." "You have our complete support." The board voted unanimously to expand these policies to our international properties. Maya smiled. "That's exactly what I was hoping to hear." The legal implications had been resolved favorably. No lawsuits were filed. Maya's choice of systemic reform over financial compensation had created positive precedent for discrimination cases industry-wide. The Morrison Hotel's legal department reported that discrimination complaints had decreased 67% across all properties. Staff training completion rates had reached 98%. Guest satisfaction scores were at historic highs. Maya's assistant handed her the latest guest feedback survey. "This one's particularly touching," she said. The review came from a young black woman. "I stayed at Grandview last month and was treated with incredible respect. The staff made me feel valued and welcome. It's clear this hotel has learned from past mistakes and created genuine change." Similar reviews appeared across all Morrison properties. Guests noticed the difference in staff behavior, training quality, and inclusive atmosphere. The company's reputation had been enhanced rather than damaged by the incident. The industry recognition continued growing. Maya had been invited to speak at 15 hospitality conferences about inclusive practices. Her presentations focused on practical implementation rather than theoretical concepts. Real change isn't about good intentions, she told audiences. It's about measurable actions, documented results, and systematic accountability. The technology implementation had exceeded expectations. Bias detection algorithms identified problematic patterns in guest interactions, allowing immediate correction. Staff performance dashboards tracked inclusive behavior metrics alongside traditional service measures. Maya's phone showed a text from Jessica Morrison. "I know I have no right to contact you, but I wanted to say thank you. Losing my job was devastating, but it forced me to confront my own prejudices. I'm in therapy now, working on unconscious bias. I hope to be a better person." Maya didn't respond immediately. Jessica's growth was encouraging, but forgiveness required more than acknowledgement of wrongdoing. Real change meant sustained behavior modification over time. The systemic reforms had created lasting impact. New employee orientation included 16 hours of diversity training. Promotion requirements included demonstrated inclusive leadership. Performance evaluations measured bias awareness alongside technical competence. Maya's legacy extended beyond Morrison Hotels. Her response to discrimination had influenced hospitality industry practices nationwide. The Grandview Standard had become shorthand for inclusive service excellence. As she prepared to leave the lobby, Maya reflected on the journey from humiliation to transformation. Her experience had created positive change for thousands of employees and millions of guests across the industry. The real victory wasn't personal vindication. It was systemic reform that would prevent future discrimination for years to come. 6 months after the incident that changed everything, Maya Chen Williams stood before the American Hotel Association's annual conference. 800 hospitality executives filled the ballroom, eager to hear about transformational leadership in crisis management. "Real power isn't about being recognized," Maya began, her voice carrying easily across the room. "It's about ensuring others are never made to feel unworthy of basic dignity." The audience included CEOs, general managers, and industry leaders who'd implemented similar reforms at their own properties. Maya's experience had created a movement toward inclusive hospitality practices nationwide. Her presentation focused on measurable outcomes rather than inspirational rhetoric. Morrison Hotels had documented a 34% increase in guest satisfaction scores from diverse travelers. Staff retention had improved 28%. Revenue attributable to inclusive policies exceeded $12 million annually. "We didn't just change policies," Maya explained. "We changed culture. And culture change requires sustained commitment, not just good intentions." The industry transformation was quantifiable. 23 major hotel chains had adopted guest dignity protocols. Discrimination complaints across participating properties had decreased 67%. Customer loyalty among diverse travelers had increased significantly. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Marcus Thompson. "New staff training class just graduated, 100% completion rate, highest evaluation scores we've ever recorded." The systematic approach to bias elimination had become a model for other industries. Healthcare organizations, retail companies, and financial institutions were adapting Morrison Hotels' framework for their own operations. Travel. With Tiffany's follow-up documentary had been viewed 8.7 million times across platforms. Her coverage of the hotel's transformation provided powerful testimony to the effectiveness of addressing discrimination through systematic reform rather than individual punishment. "This is how real change happens," Tiffany told her followers. "Not through shame or revenge, but through leaders who choose progress over punishment." Maya's promotion to CEO of Morrison Hotels had been announced 3 months earlier. Her leadership during the crisis had demonstrated exceptional judgment, strategic thinking, and moral courage. The board's unanimous support reflected confidence in her vision for inclusive hospitality. Chairman Morrison had personally recommended her succession, citing her ability to transform crisis into competitive advantage. Maya's personal philosophy had evolved through the experience. I learned that my response to discrimination would define not just my character, but the character of our entire organization, she reflected. The ripple effects continued expanding. Maya mentored young professionals facing similar challenges. Her speaking engagements drew audiences from multiple industries. Her book proposal had generated interest from major publishers, but her greatest satisfaction came from daily operational results. The young Latino man checking into the presidential suite faced no questions about his worthiness. The elderly black woman at the spa received exceptional service without scrutiny. The casually dressed tech executive was treated with complete professionalism. 6 months ago, I stood in the Grandview lobby being told I didn't belong, Maya concluded her presentation. Today, that same lobby welcomes everyone with equal dignity. That's the kind of change that makes discrimination impossible. The standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. Hotel executives committed to implementing similar reforms. Industry publications requested interviews. The transformation was becoming institutionalized across American hospitality. Maya's story had become part of hospitality industry legend, not as a tale of personal triumph, but as proof that systematic change was possible when leaders chose progress over punishment. These are the real-life stories that matter most. Black stories that demonstrate how courage can create systemic transformation. Touching stories that prove individual actions can generate industry-wide change. Life stories that show how responding to discrimination with intelligence rather than anger creates lasting reform. Have you witnessed discrimination that better training could have prevented? Share your experiences in the comments below. If this story showed you the power of systematic change over individual revenge, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about leaders who choose progress over punishment. Your voice matters. Your experiences matter. And together, we can ensure that no one else has to prove they belong in their own space. What would you have done in Maya's situation? Share your thoughts below.